Hi everyone, I'm Kayla Matos, alderperson for Ward 1 Ithaca Common Council. I'm really excited to be able to lead the fight in Good Cause Eviction.
It is not an exaggeration to say that this is going to be the biggest advance in tenants' rights in the city in over 50 years. We will guarantee lease renewals, we will put limits on rent hikes, we will stop discriminatory and retaliatory evictions.
My name's Katie, and I'm a member of the Ithaca Tenants Union. What Good Cause would do is it would change the dynamic so that in order to kick you out, your landlord would need to prove that you either haven't paid your rent or that you've broken the clauses of your lease. So basically, it changes the situation from you can be kicked out for arbitrary and discriminatory reasons to you can only be kicked out if you've broken the rules or not paid your rent. Right now, your landlord can evict you for any reason or no reason at all at the end of your lease. This opens up a loophole for landlords to use eviction as a discriminatory tool because they don't like your race or ethnicity, they don't like your family structure, they don't like that you're queer or transgender, and it gives them an opportunity to non-renew you without saying why they want you out, and lets them do it for all sorts of terrible reasons. Tenants also right now aren't protected if they want to push their landlord to get repairs that they are entitled to by law. So say that you have a leak in your ceiling and there's mold building up in your house and it's causing a health hazard for you and your family. And if you ask your landlord to fix it and they refuse to do it and you keep pushing them, they'll just decide you're too much of a problem and non-renew you and get someone else to live in the apartment until they realize just how bad it is. And they'll do it over and over again and collect your rent payments. But what this says is you can keep pushing your landlord because you won't be afraid of retaliation and being pushed out of the place that you call home just because you're asking for something like a repair that you're entitled to by law.
My name is Adam Hart. I'm here because I recently got non-renewed after living in the only place I've lived in Ithaca for 7 years. We got non-renewed and it came right after job loss, so I'm here to push back on that. I think it's incredibly unfair. People need these protections. Ithaca is 74% renters, and it's wild that we don't have these basic protections. I got non-renewed for complaining about disrepair in my apartment. We have rat infestations, we have mold, our basement floods regularly, we have our tile floor in the living room falling apart. Our upstairs neighbor also has been experiencing some issues, so we started to stand together and confront the landlord collectively and made a little bit of progress, but come renewal time, we got a non-renewal letter.
Yeah, my name's Taylor. I'm here because I have been working with organizing tenants for about 4 years now. I've spoken to hundreds of tenants in this city, and I've heard pretty consistently that people are whatever their problems are, it always comes back to they're afraid of speaking up for themselves because they know that at some point they could just arbitrarily be non-renewed and get kicked out. And so it ultimately kind of limits our ability to fight for all of our other rights. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
If we opted into this law, it would protect all tenants in the city of Ithaca whose housing was built before 2009 and whose housing is below a threshold that the math on it is a little bit complicated, but you can think of it as a $3,000 one-bedroom apartment. Anything under that would be protected, and it goes up for larger apartments. And this is really important because when this bill was being negotiated at the state level, the real estate industry lobbied hard to get an exemption for what they called small landlords. And they thought that their goal with this was to protect people who have small portfolio sizes. They're saying that small landlords can't keep up with all this regulatory burden. But we have two responses to that in the Tenants Union. One is that we expect all housing providers to be able to provide a minimum level of protection for tenants. If what comes first and foremost when you're providing housing is to be able to give tenants the stability and safety that they need in their homes in order to make it a good place to live. So that should be required for all rentals, regardless of the size of the portfolio of the owner. And the second thing is that the way that the law is set up that exempts small landlords actually opens up a huge loophole for people to hide their buildings in limited liability corporations or LLCs. And if you buy one building and own it with one LLC, and you buy another building and create another LLC, a different name to own that building, it can be crazy hard for tenants to figure out which person owns which building and how many buildings their landlord owns. And it puts tenants in the situation of not knowing if their rights are protected. Landlords get to obscure what they're owning and what the real details of their business are. And it puts us in the situation where some people aren't protected who deserve the protection just as well as the next guy, so their next door neighbor. So we are really proud that the Ithaca version of this bill that's being passed around has closed the LLC loophole so that all tenants who are in these buildings built before 2009 under the luxury rent threshold will be protected. So we know that we have these rights and that we can enforce them.
My name is Lee Cotman, and I'm here in support of Good Cause Eviction Protections because I'm a homeowner and not a landlord, and I think that it's just sort of basic ethical common sense to keep people in their homes, and I think Ithaca likes to, lean into the welcoming, friendly city sort of vibe, and if that's what we want to be, then this is a chance for the council to actually put some law around us being a welcoming place to live.
Another thing that Good Cause does is it prevents huge profiteering rent hikes. So a really common strategy that landlords use to kick people out of their homes, to push them out of the buildings that they live in, is to get huge rent hikes of 30, 40%, hundreds of dollars at a time, and say, by the way, next month you're going to owe $1,600 instead of $1,000 a month for rent. And what Good Cause does is it prevents rent hikes based on inflation, and it says that a landlord can't evict people for non-payment if they've jacked up the rent like that without proving that they have the expenses to necessitate it. And what that does is it gives tenants kind of the same protection like you would get in criminal court, like innocent until proven guilty, of whether the rent hike was justified or not, and prevents those kind of rent hikes that are literally just intended to scoop people's money up or get them on the street.
What I do know is this is not the end. We got to continue to fight. This is not enough. We have to bring back those people who was pushed out of this community, because we know if we fight together, we know if we fight for the right reason, for the right purpose, that we can get what we need for people who don't think they have a voice.
We're really excited about this law because it gives tenants the ability to have belief in a stable housing situation for themselves, to trust that they're going to be able to stay in their homes year after year. And as tenants, we've looked a lot into what kind of policies protect us the best, what will give us the stability that we need to build good, safe, healthy lives in Ithaca, and this is a top priority for us. Good Cause has already had a public hearing in the City of Ithaca, and what's left is it's up for a vote in July. On July 10th, the meeting starts at 6 p.m., and there will be more opportunity for public comment. So if this is a protection that you need, I definitely encourage you to come to the public comment period at City Hall on June 10th at 6 p.m. or to email council ahead of time. They have an email address that's council@cityofithaca.org. And so make sure that you tell your representatives that this is important to you, that this would help you live a good life, help you live a stable life, help you stay in Ithaca, and be with your community, and that's important to you.